Oldest medical journal has suggested that a child's gender should be legally dropped from birth certificates, as it's harmful to people who then go on to identify as neither male nor female.
Sex designations on birth certificates offer no clinical utility, and they can be harmful for intersex and transgender people. Moving such designations below the line of demarcation wouldn't compromise the birth certificate's public health function, but could avoid harm.
The phrase used there refers to a line below which items have no legal validity and can be omitted. So it would place sex designation in the same category as race and marital status of parents when indicated on US birth certificates. The article in the New England Journal of Medicine sparked a swift and perhaps predictable response on Twitter. Let's now bring in Paula Diana, a women's rights activist and author, and also Stephanie Hayden, a commentator and lawyer. Both welcome to RT International. Thanks for joining us. Paula, to you first. Do the authors of this article have a point? If race and the marital status of parents are no longer deemed relevant in today's world, why should gender be?
I don't agree with this statement, I'm afraid. I think that biological sex is actually really important to know. So as we need to know other, scientific things related to our body, like our type of blood or, other DNA related things. I think that I'm really touched by the problems of transgender people, and I am actually completely pro, transgender people. But I think that we are now not seeing the real problem. So the real problem is cultural and is the sex role stereotype. And this is what feminists like me, are fighting since ages now, because a society that is very structured with sex role stereotypes is the type of society that produces patriarchal, system. It produces homophobia, sexism, misogyny. And these are all types of oppression that actually transgender people are feeling on their shoulder, on their skin every day. So in order to help them, we have to fight the culture, problem of sex role stereotypes. So we don't have to, use the fixed type of gender, like thinking that the man, as an example, has to be the macho man, always strong, never crying, never complaining, who doesn't feel emotions. That's completely wrong. That is actually, toxic. And it's toxic for men, especially for men who wants to change their gender.
Stephanie, the authors say that indicating gender on a birth certificate can be harmful to intersex and transgender people. Is it harmful? And in what way would it be harmful?
It becomes harmful later in life when one is transgender, and especially if one transitions to the opposite sex. It is important that one's basic identification documents match the reality of the life that's been lived by an individual person. So, for example, if you transition, as I did, from male to female, there comes a point in your life where it is entirely inappropriate to be carrying documentation stating that you're a male. I can think of an example from my own experience. Some years ago, I was transiting a major international airport, and at that time, my passport still said male. And to say that that caused me problems at that particular airport is an understatement. Biological sex is, of course, important. It's important for any medical procedures that one might seek out during one's life. However, that can be mitigated, as is the case here in the UK. We have a scheme where your birth certificate can be changed to reflect the gender sex that you now live in, but there's nothing to stop you making sure that your medical practitioners and professionals are aware of the sex that you were born.
Paula, we had some of that Twitter reaction earlier on. It is a touch paper subject, isn't it? But would you think that it's people's tendency to overreact to such things? I would say that most people's reaction is coming from a point of ignorance. I would count myself among that too. I don't know anywhere near as much about this subject as perhaps anybody should do if they're going to publicly react to it.
I agree with you. I think that there is too much hysteria around this issue, and a lot of people, they just don't know. They don't want to study, you know, they don't want to be knowledgeable about this issue. And, personally, I'm writing my second book, and it will be all about, attachment theory, marriage, sex, and love. And I'm actually studying a lot of scientific research of psychiatrists as an example, and they talk about the harm that sex role stereotypes, societies, they do to people, and especially on people that are more sensitive, and definitely 100% on transgender people. So again, I think we are not seeing the big problem. I can understand that it could be harmful in this case, as the other guest just said, but maybe we could find a third way. I don't think it's all black and white. Maybe we could find a way to write in the passports, on the documents, that it's a man transition to woman. I don't know. This is just an idea, but maybe, or the opposite way around, of course. I think we could find, a third way. And anyway, again, the problem is much, much larger. And I think we should all, join forces against this sexual stereotype, view of the society. As an example, we know that in many other societies, like, the Indian tribes or other societies in the Polynesia, we have the figure of the Burdash, and is a figure of that is a completely a top level in society. So it's really honored, and is a figure of a man who feels and behaves like a woman, and is completely accepted by society, because that societies, they don't have the moral structure that our Western societies have. So I think we should all transition with that type of society, a society that is much more open, that doesn't put us in boxes.
Stephanie, is there a danger that policy ideas like this are a bit of a distraction, that they can cause more harm than good, in that they're taking people's eye off the ball on the bigger issues like transgender access to health care or legal definitions in some parts of society?
It could be. It could definitely be.
I mean, what I would say is your guest's idea about a third way is something that is often discussed here by trans exclusionary radical feminists in the UK. And it's dangerous. It is a form, no less, of apartheid. They want to put people like me with a big badge on which says other. Transgender people are perfectly capable of navigating their own healthcare needs. We have to do it every single day, fighting in a system for the healthcare that we need, not just to transition, but to live our everyday lives. But there's plenty that I do agree with your other guest on. The whole debate is very polarised, often contributed to by people that don't have a clue what they are talking about. They are ignorant, they do not do their research, and you cannot even begin to understand the struggles that people like me go through every single day just to lead our lives without harassment and hate. So in terms of the bigger picture, yes, we would like this debate to be one about how do we access healthcare on a more fair basis. I mean, for example, we have just had over here in the UK about 4 weeks ago a judgment in the High Court of England and Wales, which quite frankly destroys access to healthcare for many transgender children. They are the sort of debates that we need to have. We need to get our society to accept that transgender people exist and they are not going away. And it's not about men who are transitioning to women or women who are transitioning to men. I am a woman. The law of the UK states I am a woman. I don't want to be considered a third way or another. And quite frankly, that is what feminists need to understand, because some of the worst culprits, in my view, for propagating stereotypes are feminists.
Just a couple of quick final points from both of you, if I may, please. Paola, since 2004, it's been legal in the UK for people to change their gender on their birth certificate. Why not just go the whole hog and just be able to take it off their birth certificate? What's the big problem?
But I think it's the same thing of, I'll give you an example, maybe cultural appropriation. People, they say you don't have to appropriate my culture, So they think, if you're not black, you shouldn't behave or say you're black or Hispanic, like we are seeing now, the Hilaria Baldwin case. So why don't we say that we shouldn't write, our citizenship on the passport? It's the same thing, I guess, So I think we are, who we are from the, biologically, but I have nothing against, transgender. So I don't see it against, I don't see it in a weird way. I don't understand why we are actually doing this, because it's only to find...
Just a final few seconds from Stephanie, if I may. I suppose in the past couple of years, there's been an explosion of awareness in transgender issues of something that's been hidden for so many decades, if not centuries. What would it mean to change birth certificates?
For me, it was about making my transition complete on a legal basis. The state recognising me as the woman I have now transitioned to be. That does not mean I take away anything from natal-born women. I have not got their life experience. I do not in any way seek to even begin to think that I can live the life that they did. I can only live the life that I now do. And that sanction from the state is very, very important to many transgender people. OK, both. I really appreciate your time this New Year's Eve. Thanks very much for joining us on RT International. All the best for 2021. Thank you. Happy New Year.
This is RT International. Thanks for watching. However you're spending this new year, stay safe. I'll be back with more in half an hour.